Welcome to the sanctuary for the anxiously attached. I am your host and your friend, Ava, and I am so happy you are here. Before we start, this podcast is sponsored by Healing Anxious Attachment, the workbook, available through the link in the bio. Let's begin. Codependency and anxious attachment. Codependency is a pattern of behavior in which a person puts the needs and desires of others above their own to an unhealthy and often detrimental degree. In codependent relationships, one person becomes overly reliant on the other person for validation, self-worth, and emotional support. Codependency is often seen in relationships where one partner has an addiction or other problematic behavior, and the other partner becomes enmeshed in helping or enabling them. The codependent person may feel a strong need to be needed and may struggle with setting boundaries or prioritizing their own needs and wants. Codependent behavior can be characterized by 1. Enabling. The codependent person may enable the other person's negative behaviors by covering up for them, making excuses, or taking responsibility for their actions. 2. Control. The codependent person may feel a need to control the other person's behavior in order to feel secure or valued. 3. Lack of boundaries. The codependent person may struggle to set boundaries or prioritize their own needs, leading to feelings of resentment or burnout. 4. Difficulty with emotions. The codependent person may struggle to identify and express their own emotions, leading to feelings of confusion or disconnection. Codependency can have negative effects on mental health and relationships, leading to feelings of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and difficulty forming healthy connections with others. Treatment for codependency often involves therapy to address underlying emotional issues and develop healthier relationship patterns. This can involve learning to set boundaries, improving communication skills, and developing self-care practices. While codependency and anxious attachment are distinct patterns of behavior, they can share some similarities, including 1. Fear of abandonment. Both codependency and anxious attachment can involve a fear of abandonment. In codependency, this fear may be related to a strong need to please others and maintain control, while in anxious attachment, the fear may stem from a lack of security in the relationship. 2. Need for validation. People with both codependency and anxious attachment may have a strong need for validation from their partners or others. In codependency, this may manifest as a desire to be needed or to feel important, while in anxious attachment, it may be related to a fear of rejection. 3. Difficulty setting boundaries. Both codependency and anxious attachment can involve difficulty setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. In codependency, this may be related to a lack of self-esteem or a strong need to please others, while in anxious attachment, it may stem from a fear of abandonment or rejection. 4. Emotional dysregulation. People with both codependency and anxious attachment may struggle with emotional dysregulation and may rely on their partners or others for emotional support. It's important to note that while these similarities exist, codependency and anxious attachment are distinct patterns of behavior with different underlying causes and characteristics. There are some key differences between the two. Anxious attachment is a specific style of attachment that develops early in life and influences how a person approaches relationships. People with anxious attachment tend to be preoccupied with the fear of abandonment and seek reassurance and validation from their partners. Codependency, on the other hand, is a pattern of behavior that can develop in any relationship, regardless of attachment style. Codependency is characterized by a strong need to please others and a lack of boundaries, often at the expense of one's own needs and desires. Some of the key differences between codependency and anxious attachment include 1. Attachment style. Anxious attachment is a specific attachment style that develops in childhood, whereas codependency can develop in any relationship. 2. Focus on abandonment. People with anxious attachment tend to be preoccupied with the fear of abandonment, while codependent individuals may be more focused on pleasing others and maintaining control. 3. Boundary setting. People with anxious attachment may struggle with setting healthy boundaries, but this is often due to fear of abandonment. Codependent individuals may also struggle with boundary setting, but this is often due to a strong need to please others. 4. Emotional regulation. People with anxious attachment may struggle with emotional regulation and may rely on their partners for emotional support. Codependent individuals may also struggle with emotional regulation, but this is often due to a lack of self-care practices. In summary, while there can be some overlap between codependency and anxious attachment, they are distinct patterns of behavior with different underlying causes and characteristics. Still, I would like to give some tips for dealing with codependency. Build self-awareness. The first step in addressing codependency is to become aware of your patterns of behavior and the underlying emotions and beliefs that drive them. Pay attention to the situations and people that trigger codependent behavior and try to identify the emotions and beliefs that underlie your actions. Practice self-care. Codependency often involves neglecting your own needs and focusing on others. To break this pattern, prioritize your own self-care, including regular exercise, healthy eating, and restful sleep. Make time for activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, and practice self-compassion and self-forgiveness. Set and enforce boundaries. Learning to set and maintain healthy boundaries is key to overcoming codependency. This may involve saying no to requests or demands from others, and learning to identify and communicate your own needs and limits. Seek support. Codependency can be difficult to overcome on your own, so consider seeking support from a therapist, support group, or trusted friend or family member. A therapist can help you explore the underlying causes of your codependency and provide strategies for breaking the pattern. Focus on your own growth and development. Codependency often involves a strong focus on others, so try to shift your attention to your own personal growth and development. Identify your own goals and aspirations and take steps to pursue them. This can help you build self-esteem and break the cycle of codependent behavior. Remember that overcoming codependency is a process that takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small successes along the way. With time and practice, you can break free from codependent patterns and build healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you would like to keep getting tips on how to deal with anxious attachment and keep updated on other relatable content. Thank you and lots of love.